Fiber basically helps things move faster. You get faster internet, faster video.
There's stories of trees falling on fiber lines and the fiber lines actually holding the tree up and the service still being able to work.
Well, this is a way for us to connect with other cities and move ideas much faster and in much greater detail and in much higher resolution, if you will.
And in a communications-driven world, nothing is more important than that core infrastructure that drives the communication. That's the fiber.
Fiber basically helps things move faster. You get faster internet, faster video.
There's stories of trees falling on fiber lines and the fiber lines actually holding the tree up and the service still being able to work.
Well, this is a way for us to connect with other cities and move ideas much faster and in much greater detail and in much higher resolution, if you will.
And in a communications-driven world, nothing is more important than that core infrastructure that drives the communication. That's the fiber. National Public Lightpath is an attempt by the public media community to really define what it needs in the future networked environment that media is moving towards. And it's an attempt also to really design into the process different kinds of communities at the very beginning of what's going to become the next generation of the internet.
I think our engagement around National Public Lightpath happened over a napkin. Joaquin Alvarado and myself, Joaquin was then BAVAC's president of the board, and I were talking a lot about how we can actually make real the notion of capital pooling, how we can make smart investment in infrastructure to enable real collaboration. And actually we're talking about real-time collaboration remotely.
Well, today's internet is a quilting together of a lot of different kinds of networks. There's always been an understanding that fiber, in terms of the backhaul, how you get data from big communities of users to other big communities of users, is important.
It's important to understand that when you're talking fiber optics, that the internet is fiber optics. It's a bunch of interconnected fiber optic networks. So when you think of the internet, you have to think fiber optics. Broadband then is access to the internet, traditionally done over a copper infrastructure like a DSL or cable modem, or a wireless infrastructure. So fiber to the home isn't something new and crazy. It's simply bringing the full power of the internet to your front door. The reason that fiber has so much more capacity than a copper-based infrastructure is because copper it's a copper metal and it's distributing data via electricity. Fiber, on the other hand, is glass. It's a hair-thin strand of glass, and it's using light to communicate. The capacity of fiber is essentially infinite. There's no limit. Right now, in the labs, you can fit all the world's internet traffic over a single hair-thin strand of fiber. No other technology can promise that.
So when you think about being able to deliver new kinds of applications, being able to deliver HD video dynamically between two users, you're really talking about an exponential growth in the need for bandwidth. And luckily, we've made the innovations happen on the network side to really be able to drive that kind of bandwidth successfully. It requires fiber, though, and not just in the sense of backhaul, but also to the premises where we have a lot of folks who need to use it.
The kind of broadband access that fiber to the home brings, if it's well managed, it can be a tool for bringing traditional communities much closer together and helping them to retain identity. And the way for doing that is that it allows people within a community to communicate in ways that they haven't been able to before. It also allows people to start producing content that's representative of who they are. I equate it in many ways to the invention of the printing press. At first, the only thing that people could see the uses for the printing press for were printing Bibles. But it wasn't very long after that that people began realizing this is an enormous tool. We're in that same kind of transformational period now, I believe. But what makes it different with fiber is that it makes it possible for ordinary people, you and I, to not only produce videos and other kinds of forms of digital self-expression, but it allows us to distribute them in a way that we've never been able to before.
Now, public media has a very special role in a democracy. And if you look at the history of public media in this country, it has been at the forefront of having the kinds of conversations that are important to a democratic people. So we're really trying to work hard to make sure that at a ground level, at an operational level, stations and schools understand the opportunities that present themselves once you have the kind of shared infrastructure that fiber represents.
Public broadcasting is, built up this local national network that works really well in the over-the-air broadcast medium. The exciting thing about National Public Lightpath is it opens us up to our vision, which has always been there, but sort of technologically limited because of the broadcast limitations. Now we really can be public media. We have all sorts of people that are producing public media that don't necessarily have a broadcast license.
Public television was just on your television screen for a while, but now here in this studio, we're creating content and we're delivering it on every medium possible. We're delivering it in streaming, we're doing it in podcasting, we're twittering about projects, we're using all the technologies and tools that allow us to more accessibly bring information to individuals. I have to tell you, we use this Louisiana Optical Network and the broadband connectivity to send the inauguration pictures out to classrooms. We sent it out to the universities where they projected it on big screens, and people felt, they said, as if they were there.
For schools, especially K-12, which is at really a crossroads in this country, we have to make sure that schools are not at the tail end of the conversation when it comes to technology, but at the front.
When you think about modern learners and students that are growing up in sort of this global landscape, it's not just text that they need to be able to express themselves in, but media as well.
And I was in a meeting in Washington where I was talking about programming for public broadcasting, and this gentleman got up on the stage and said, one of the most innovative activities in the country is going on in Louisiana at Karen Crow High School in Lafayette Parish, Louisiana, and I was just shocked because I thought, how does this gentleman know about our project?